to Bad Larry.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Bad Larry Kingdom. I'm your host, Bad Larry, and today's episode is a triple banger. That's right, 3 issues today. Pow! We are covering part 1, part 2, and part 3 of the Extinction Agenda with Uncanny X-Men 270, the New Mutants number 95, and of course, the purpose of this episode, X Factor number 60. So let's go! We kick this episode off with Uncanny X-Men number 270, drawn by Jim Lee. This is a total nostalgia for me. I had all these comics as a kid. Jim Lee was always my favorite artist. Back then, they used to love using Latin phrases or high-level poetry phrases like dramatis personae, which just means the characters that will be in the play or the story. Very fancy, Chris Claremont. And you might be looking at Storm and asking a similar question as I asked when I revisited this issue. Bad Larry, why is Storm so little? Why is she drawn pint size? What's the deal with her? And that is the fun about these older 90s issues. They did funky things to characters, kept you on your toes. But to answer your question, and my question, in Uncanny X-Men number 267, so a few issues prior to this one, an old enemy of X-Factor called the Nanny, this egg-looking villain, de-aged Storm's body from a 30-year-old woman to a 13-year-old girl. Storm's mind remained the same age, just her body got younger, so there you go. Old Trish Tilby, boy, she is everywhere, right? She is explaining the African island country of Genosha have declared the X-Men terrorists and would like the U.S. to ally with them against the mutants. But if they don't, well, the Genoshan government will defend themselves against the X-Men accordingly. Y'all know how much Bad Larry loves a splash page, and a Jim Lee splash page is unmatched. Now that Storm is de-aged back to 13 years old body, she is training with Marble Girl in the Danger Room to test her power levels and controls. It is fair to believe that 13-year-old Storm is less powerful than 30-year-old Storm. I love how Jim Lee is depicting Marvel Girl's telekinesis powers, like pink snake ropes and snarling little Storm. Marvel Girl thinks she has won the match, but Storm is wily. She hasn't given up yet. A little rain, then freezing wind. Now Marvel Girl is doing the old slippery slide right off the edge. Storm keeps Marvel Girl off balance so she can't focus and use her telekinesis. Forge and Banshee are the evaluators here to see if Storm still has the capabilities to be an X-Men and the leader. Remember, Storm was the leader of the X-Men team at this time as well. You may be asking, who the heck is this Miss Hunter or Stevie Hunter all up in the X-Men's business? She's a human who was Kitty Pryde's dance teacher, and she has a bum knee, who is now a supporting character, I guess, for the X-Men. You can see how Banshee is looking up at her like, girl, bah, you aren't even a mutant. Why are you even here at this school? Bossing us around. This ain't your dance school. The 90s brought us these different types of layouts. While not a traditional splash page, the idea to use 2 pages to house these consecutive frames was a novel and cool concept. Oh man, I've just been reintroduced to this lady, Miss Hunter. They also call her Stevie, and boy, she's rubbing me the wrong way. Stevie shuts down the training session using bureaucratic weight to usurp power, saying Professor X gave her the authority or the health and conditioning of the students. Girl, bye. Don't you know they've been using this danger room without your supervision for years? But maybe Stevie has a point. Storm has pushed herself too far. Marvel Girl had to catch her from falling out of the sky. Anywho, Cable is now the leader of the New Mutants, and he's real serious about training, busting the danger room door down all aggressive like some corporate secretary. Hey, we have scheduled the conference room from 9 to 11. It's 9:01. Get the F out. These interactions are a bit weak sauce, Chris Claremont, if I'm being honest. They're still arguing over who has more dibs to the X Mansion, who has dibs on the Danger Room. The 13-year-old Lil Body Storm still has her 30-year-old mind, though. She keeps things cool, lets Cable and his crew have the Danger Room. Goodness, it's like Cable's raised in an apocalyptic future the way he goes on about things. Oh, yeah, he was. Another seemingly filler page here. Guido, aka Strong Guy, is working for Lila Cheney, a mutant with teleportation powers, and also a popular singer like Dazzler. This fella, human guy, I think, Fred Stanachek, is a nobody dude who's trying to get to Dazzler, who is not there, but old Fred keeps insisting that she is until Strong Guy has to literally pick him up in his car and carry him off. It's a funny and cool image seeing Strong Guy carry the car above his head with one arm, but it's not really important, I think, to this story. All of a sudden, Liz teleports back and before passing out says, Professor X needs help. There's danger. Get the X-Men. Meanwhile, Marvel Girl and Lil Kid Storm are reminiscing about missions of the past. I like how they're both wearing these brown Xavier school jackets. Not quite like a Letterman's jacket, more like a Top Gun jacket. But I like how in the 90s there was a focus on the team synergy, the matching outfits. Well, for X Factor and the X-Men at least. Of course, Jean Grey has to go on and on about having a clone, Madeline Pryor being tied to the Phoenix. Yeah, we get it, you've been through a lot. But now you're out of it. Let's move on, sister. They get one thing correct here. The X-Men do not die the old-fashioned way. None of them stay dead forever, seemingly. Make sure to take a note of that blue van in the background under the girls toasting their glasses. The short-haired girl in the glasses has intel on both Marvel Girl and Storm, spying on them from that blue van, and she has her cohorts are clearly the enemies of the X-Men and mutant kind. So in this timeline, Professor X is also gone or missing, similar to what is going on now with the X-Men, with Professor X leaving the Earth to go to the Shi'ar Empire. I guess it's an easy storyline. The students who depend on their teacher so much, how will they do it without the aid and support of their teacher? And here it looks like Jean Grey is taking off to head back to X Factor. The happy vibe is cut by Wolfsbane singing to Storm, I'm so glad you're alive, as she and the New Mutants had all thought the X-Men were dead. Jim Lee was the best. Anytime he could create a situation where the folks were in bikinis, he took it. Wolfsbane is all bent out of shape because one of her New Mutant friends, Doug, died, and Storm, being a bit cold, says, yeah, and Thunderbird was part of my team with the new X-Men, and he died on his first mission. But even though they're all mutants, Wolfsbane feels like a second-class citizen around these parts because she's not part of the precious X-Men. It's kind of like she's breaking the fourth wall, understanding the X-Men are the flagship brand, and the New Mutants are literally the spin-offs, less important and less popular team and characters, and runs off. Back to the bikinis. Jim Lee loved drawing those legs extra long, am I right? 3 Genosian soldiers show up on kick-ass hyper-tech wheelie assault vehicles, and they have it in for the X-Men. Really, X-Factor, New Mutants, it's all the same to the Genosians. All the mutants can get it. The element of surprise is always an advantage, especially when you need it. Here the humans are underpowered compared to the mutants, but with enough tech and the surprise element, the playing fields are more even. They take out Lil Kid Storm. Stevie the ballerina with the bad knee is trying to carry her little body off out of danger through the woods to the secret hatch leading to the X-Men bunker. But can our heroes outrun these walker bots firing at them? The adults down in the bunker get the red alert. We're under attack. Stevie's bad knee gives out just in time for them to reach the hatch. Boom Boom is my second favorite New Mutant, after Magic of course, but in this time frame she's my favorite. Her spunkiness could never be replicated by Jubilee, but somehow Jubilee got the nod in the limelight for the cartoon and Boom Boom got left in the dust. Storm tells the New Mutants to retreat back into the bunker, but clearly the New Mutants got some attitudinal problems. They don't like taking no orders from Storm or the X-Men. Sheesh, just get in the bunker, will ya? But no, your pride gotta get in the way, and you let Lady Genosha Magistrate Soldier get close enough to slap on a power dampener collar on you, and you're about to be a prisoner. Maybe next time you will listen to an X-Man's orders. This is what I'm talking about. A third splash page. It shows how awesome Jim Lee was as an artist to put together with enough detail and under such a time crunch. The man is a legend. We are introduced to Pipeline, a leader of the Genoshan Army soldier guys. He looks a lot like Havoc with the blonde hair, but has a long ponytail, cause it's the early 90s, baby. This second wave of soldiers are running thick and deep. No diddy. Storm tosses Stevie into the bunker and seals it shut with lightning, but it's a fatal flaw, not allowing the other X-Men to join topside in the fight. Her adult mind knows she needs to lure these soldiers away from the hatch, so Storm makes a break for it. But someone is blasting away at the bunker hatch. The power signature is familiar to Storm. Is it Havoc? What is he doing? Why is he helping the Genoshans? Like I said, Storm thought she was helping by sealing the hatch shut, but it was a tactical flaw. Stevie must call X Factor to see if they can get some help ASAP while the adults make their way topside through a different exit. Topside, it's basically Boom Boom and Little Kid Storm to fight an army of Genoshan soldiers in high-tech gear. It's not looking good for them. Storm uses her wind power to divert a Boom Boom time bomb, knocking out this soldier. And yes, she confirms it is indeed Havoc. She asks the same questions we all were. How could he be working with the enemy like this? It was just a matter of time, really. Without the adults, these new mutants are just outclassed by military trained human soldiers with this tech. An aerial vehicle snags up Boom Boom and Richter with the stun web. I love how Little Kid Storm picks up a rifle and starts shooting back. It is so 90s, I love it. Pipeline shoots some sort of electronic weapon, hitting Warlock right in the temple. Not good. You can see Pipeline here with the blue backwards hat using his computer. He's a mutant. He could teleport people through his little computer, and he's teleported Warlock off the battlefield clearly to a cell back in Genosha. The Genoshan army have collected the new mutants in Little Storm and decided to bounce before the heavy hitters arrive, which is just seconds too late. There are no trails for anyone to follow, only the tattered shards of the kids' uniforms. So that wraps up part one. That issue was called First Strike, which makes sense. The Genoshan humans made the first strike against our mutant heroes. And we continue the Extinction Agenda saga in New Mutants 95. This issue would be called Shell Game, and it's part two of Extinction Agenda. This issue opens on the East African island of Genosha. Some mutant slaves, or mutates really, are working the land, making the regular humans of Genosha rich. And Pipeline just teleported in our heroes from last issue: Storm, Boom Boom, Richter, Wolfsbane, and Warlock. It is odd. Cameron Hodge here hates the X-Men, well, mutants in general, Archangel mostly, but has no problems using mutants for his purpose. Like Pipeline here, it is funny because he uses his little computer to digitize the people or things he'll teleport, and when they arrive to their new destinations, well, they are naked as the day they were born. And during the transfer, Warlock's energies have been drained down almost to nothing. The mutants are not only naked, they're all drugged up, some sort of compliance drug. Are you sure Louise Simonson is the writer here and not Bill Cosby? Ooh, Rain transforms into her Wolfsbane form. At least she's got that going for her. But it will be all for naught shortly. Cameron Hodge calls in a dude to come in and remove the mutant's powers. Wow, Rob Liefeld was living on the edge here with this art. You know Storm's only 13 right now. Yikes! And the others are just a bit older. Boom Boom is still blaming Storm for this predicament they're in instead of working together. Sure, they're fighting back a little, but is it enough? These Genoshan guards or soldiers think that just because Wolfsbane doesn't have any blow-up powers or projectile powers, that she's an easy mark. Well, they're wrong. She's a wolf lady. You wouldn't fight a regular wolf. She's not much different. Remember, our heroes are drugged up as well, so their powers are diluted. Richter tries shaking the place down, but Cameron Hodge has a wild card named Wipeout. Wipeout takes out away mutant powers. Why does Cameron Hodge even keep the face? He's like 99% robot. Just let it go, brother. Well, Cameron Hodge plans to put the X-Men kids on trial as X-Men with some banana-rama phony baloney trial and then keep them as slave pets. Back at the scene of the crime, Cable and the other adult mutants recap what happened. The kids were abducted, they were late to the party, got it. The mutant flyers search overhead and have found zero trails or evidence of where they could have gone off to. I mean, we have to address this horrible art of Cable, right? What is the Beavis and Butthead going on here? It's pretty bad. You know I love Louise Simonson, but this issue is a bit clunky, kind of stuck in neutral. We are at page 8 and basically still recapping last issue. What is interesting, though, is that Gambit doesn't seem to care about the other mutants at all who were kidnapped other than Storm, which is kind of rude, don't you think? Or a bit heartless at least. First thing, where's Forge's metal leg? I despise costume inconsistencies. It's not a movie where you can accidentally forget what shirt you wore on yesterday's shot. No, you're drawing these characters. You should have a character reference for them, and it's lazy to mess up these details. What can I say? I think it is iconic that Gambit has really never changed his costume. The headband, pink and black chest piece, and the long brown trench coat. It's what he's still rocking in modern comics today, 35 years later. Stevie has called in the troops, X Factor, which is how these teams link up for this crossover event, and they are on their way to help in their search and rescue of Lil Storm, Boom Boom Richter, Warlock, and Wolfsbane. Speaking of which, Cameron Hodge gave our new mutants little jumpsuits and numbers to put them in a cell. Remind any of y'all of any other tyrant who put certain races in jumpsuits, tattooed numbers on them, dehumanizing them, and put them into concentration camps? And instead of focusing on the solution, Boom Boom and Lil Storm are still in a schism with each other. Wolfsbane brings the focus back to Warlock. Dude is nearly dead, and almost all his energy is gone. I don't know much about this character, Warlock. He's like a Jar Jar Binks type, so I don't know how he would repower himself. Let's see. The New Mutants offer up some of their energy to power up Warlock, which to him is a big deal. It could come at a risk, but they still agreed to do it. But sneaky Cameron Hodge is always peeping and a creeping. Cameron Hodge actually wants to be infected by Warlock's transmode virus. This is the same virus, remember, that infected M back in the Inferno series, which would allow Cameron Hodge to alter his shape at will. So he plans, I guess, to drain Warlock of the power he has left. Dang. Speaking of the Inferno series, it is back to show its side effects. Cameron Hodge made a deal with Noster, which saved him from dying when Archangel cut Cameron Hedge's head off. The head lived on. This is why he is the head of Genosha. The machine body he has now is functional, ugly, but with the transmode virus, he can then transform his body at will. Cameron Hodge takes Warlock's still low-powered body and phases out of the cell. Our heroes are powerless and need to find a way to escape. We move to this evil son-of-a bitch, Dr. Moreau, who is about to turn this 13-year-old mutant boy, Michael, into a mutate slave, erase his memory, and put him to work. The art here by Rob Liefeld, not great, let's be honest. But Cameron Hodge busts in and he needs Dr. Moreau's help with his little Warlock project. While Cameron Hodge and Dr. Moreau are chit-chatting, Warlock is maneuvering ever so cautiously in order to make some sort of rescue attempt. Our heroes are stuck like Chuck, no powers, can't escape, and still arguing amongst themselves. As Boom Boom is still badgering Storm, Richter is doing a bit of navel gazing, commenting on how just the voice of Cameron Hodge created such an emotional response that he froze, and how Richter is all ashamed or embarrassed at himself. You see, you can go back to my X Factor series, issue number 16, when we were first introduced to Richter. He was a captive of Cameron Hodge. This is actually quite an important message to people, any person really, that you must totally let go of these things that happened to you in the past in order to be fully whole in the present. Warlock had managed to slither himself to the mutant cell in order to do what? Tell them more bad stuff is going to happen to them? How about a little help with the escape, not keep bringing the vibe down, Warlock? Nope, he keeps on with the fear of what will come. Okay. Well, after some useless chit chat, Warlock finally puts a plan into action. Warlock shocks himself on the plasma bars, holding our new mutants prisoner. I think it is ironic the Christ imagery, Warlock sacrificing himself for his friends to be free, the arms outstretched like Christ on the cross, and then mimicking Christ's final words, "It is done," or "It is finished," same. But is Warlock now dead? Nope, not quite, but he's pretty cooked. Wolfsbane doesn't want to leave Warlock, but they must in order to survive. Richter says they were trained by Cable. They should all be okay even without powers, but they'll have to split up, make it harder for their enemies to try and recapture them. And we get legit confirmation. Havoc, the brother of Cyclops, is working for Cameron Hodge. His mind has obviously been screwed with, but I wonder why Hodge is still calling him Havoc and not subjugating him like the other mutants. Richter and Wolfsbane decide to split up, try and meet up at the American Embassy. But instead of following the plan, Wolfsbane goes back for Warlock. Big mistake. I like Wolfsbane's bravery. Even without powers, she leaps right into action to save Warlock. It's a silly move, but brave. But hey, she's still kicking a little butt. Warlock is now glowing white. It's Wolfsbane's effort too little too late? Cameron Hodge's little experiment is working. Warlock's power is transferring to Hodge. Wolfsbane somehow messes up the link between Hodge and Warlock. Well, we know because Hodge says so. Liefeld didn't really draw it, so we just have to take Hodge's word for it. But Warlock is now dying, but in doing so, preventing Hodge from his plan to take Warlock's power. It seems like Warlock is dead. What? He's just a pile of dust now. Back at the X-Mansion, the news has confirmed that Warlock is dead, but shows a picture of Wolfsbane, so the X-Men and X-Factor at least know where they need to go: Genosha. But first, the President of the United States has called them to DC. Is he going to support the mutants or deter them from trying to rescue their friends and teammates? And that wraps up part 2. Let's head over to our staple series, X Factor number 60. Part 3 of the Extinction Agenda. This issue is titled Brotherhood, and I remember vividly having and reading this comic. I thought the cover was so cool at the time. Cyclops and Havoc going toe to toe, their powers destroying their costumes but having no effect on each other's persons. Plus the way John Bogdanov drew them, they are extra beefy. It is just a cool cover. I love how Cameron Hodge is wearing what looks like a cardboard box cut out of a suit. One of his lenses is cracked. Dude is a complete mess. This lady coming in looking like the female Ronald Reagan. She's the president of Genosha. Of course it is Cameron Hodge who's really in control. It is a cardboard cutout. The dude is just insane. I like how Hodge commends the lady's performance. That is the correct word for most politicians. They are performers, not real, just doing a song and dance. The people really never know the real person in the suit. If there is a real person in there at all, most are just dancing monkeys. Anyway, this evil son of a bitch is no different than any maniacal tyrant. His desire is to cause fear in the world and take more power. The dude busting in is indeed Dr. Moreau, looking much different when drawn by Bogdanov versus Liefeld, but it is indeed the same dude. He is way out of line trying to interject his opinion on the politics of Genosha. Look, I'm not supporting Cameron Hodge or anything like that, but people got to know their place when they should or shouldn't speak up. The lady president is practical. She's trying to think ahead, thinking she is somehow smarter than Cameron Hodge and is manipulating him as much as he is using her country to exact his devious plans. Of course, crazy old Cameron Hodge can hear what the lady president is saying and understands at some point she'll try and destroy him, but he will try to do the same first. But until then, the show must go on. Cameron Hodge anticipates that X Factor and the X-Men will come to free their friends, and he is counting on it. He will spin the whole scenario. The attack is the mutants are the aggressors, and thus create more global fear of mutant kind. And with the arrival of X Factor, he will be able to enact his revenge on his number one enemy, Archangel. What will be the US government's stance when dealing with such a bombastic country? They're in a quandary, much like now if you're dealing with something like North Korea. They can't just let the country of Genosha come over to America and kidnap our citizens, mutant or not. But Genosha is also a huge investor in America, so the government has to be more diplomatic about things right now. But the news is going nuts, showing crazy imagery of Wolfsbane, Boom Boom, and Richter all chained up. This is a diplomatic mess right now. We've got X Factor, Forge from the X-Men, and Cable from the New Mutants all heading to DC as they were called by their president. They're about to find out if America has their back or they have to go rescue their friends in a Black Ops mission. As our heroes arrive at the clandestine American base, they are greeted by Dr. Valerie Cooper and told the president has some plan in mind for them. John Bogdanov drew this reporter in a hilarious way. Oversized head, weird hair, lifeless eyes. I think he's making a point that these fake news anchors are just like robots, a facsimile of a human, but without the soul. We see Gambit, Sunspot, Cannonball, and Banshee loading up an aircraft. They're obviously preparing for war, but Cannonball is having an emotional breakdown with the news of his friend Warlock's death. A news reporter is interviewing Boom Boom's human biological father, a real piece of crap. He's trashing Boom Boom on live TV, pissing off Sunspot. This is why the mutant stories are so relevant. People can relate to them. People can relate to having very bad parents or struggling to fit in, hiding in a costume from the world, and starting anew with new people who love and accept you. Dr. Cooper, all these people got to be a doctor, saying the Genosians are using this person, Jenny Ransom, as the catalyst for their attack on the mutants. Well, the X-Men. Here is that clip. Jenny is like a mutant refugee who escaped Genosha and is claiming asylum in the US. The Genosian government says she's not a person but property and want her back. This is what the politics are. But unofficially, the government is allowing our heroes to go and try and rescue their people. And if the ish hits the fan, the government, US government, will deny. The only thing they don't want Forge to go. They know Forge is power set and says he's too valuable in creating cool shit for the government. But Forge says, F that, I'm going. My boy Iceman hitting Cyclops with the word of the day, rigmarole. But the meeting wasn't entirely useless. Cyclops has now good intel on Genosha. It is weird Cyclops saying goodbye to his little son Nathan Christopher, the baby, all the while the same person is with him as an adult as Cable. And Iceman, totally not gay here, smacks a passionate one on his girlfriend, Opal. Doesn't seem like an act to me. He's the real deal ladies man. Cameron Hodge can see that the X-Men and X-Factor are coming in hot, as he predicted, and scoops up insolent Dr. Moreau and puts him in his proverbial place. Stop talking ish and do as I command, or I'll pop your little head off like a 20-ounce soda. Our heroes land on Genosha, loaded down with gear and gadgets created by Forge. Cyclops thought necessary. As they travel deeper inland, they enter into to an obvious ambush spot with one of the Genoshan mutates ready to call in said ambush. Havoc blasts Cyclops from the back, no diddy, destroying Cyclops' uniform but doing little else but give Slim here a little tickle. The Genoshan army, led by Havoc's attack, using the same super high-tech vehicles we saw previously, but the heroes were kind of expecting the ambush as such. This is cool. Our hero guys and gals got little backpacks on like they're the G.I. Joes. Cable, of course, with the biggest gun known to man, and the Genoshans send out Wipeout, a mutant who can block mutant powers. But Marvel Girl wipes out Wipeout with her telekinesis and some ninja kicks. Noise. Cyclops is befuddled. How does he even alive, he's thinking. And here is the epic brother versus brother battle. Havoc blasts Psych, but Psych blasts back, neither doing any damage to each other other than their uniforms. Havoc has zero clue that Cyclops is his brother, but Cyclops obviously remembers. The mutants are letting these shock troops and Genoshan army men have it. They have the gadgets, but the mutants are just too powerful. Cyclops is trying his best to get into Havoc's head, remind him that they're brothers, but Alex gives Scott a left cross for his efforts. Alex is fully brainwashed into believing he's a Genoshan and that Cyclops is his true enemy. Cyclops calls Alex a butthead. That's funny. I learn something new every day. As much of a Cyclops fan as I am, I did know Alex and Scott's powers didn't hurt each other, but here it says their powers make each other stronger, which I didn't know, which is also why they look so beefy. They're just supercharging each other's bodies up. That's cool. Cyclops has that mount position, the beatdown position, walloping his younger brother with ground and pound. Cyclops grabs Alex's ears and starts banging his head on the ground. Apparently a trick he used when they were little. Wow, Scott was tough on little Alex back then. And the method is working a bit. Alex is starting to remember, but then calls for help from Pipeline and is teleported out of the fight. Wolfsbane should have listened to Richter and not tried to help Warlock, but no, now she's back, locked up, powerless. Elsewhere in the prison, Boom Boom is going with the air duct escape route, while Richter is trying to escape through the sewers method. Lil Kid Storm has a different plan. She overhears some Genoshan mutates give her the 411 on the current situation, and Storm plans a counterattack. She's planning on taking a Genoshan prisoner, but how and whom? Meanwhile, the X-Men and X-Factor are left victorious on the battlefield, but Cyclops is heartbroken to know his baby brother is fighting alongside the enemy. Cyclops realizes that whoever's using Havoc against them, knowing their arrival, he knows this situation feels too personal, not some international government political thing, which he is totally right about. Cyclops knows the enemy is watching them, so there is no point in being covert. It's now just a matter of execution. Which team is stronger and better? They know each other's playbooks right now, so who will prevail in the end? The good and the righteous, or the evil and the conniving? We will find out sooner than later. Make sure you subscribe to never miss an episode, like the video, and I'll see y'all real soon. Peace.